Test 3, Part 2, Passage 3. Listen to part of a lecture in a literature class.
Well, today I want to talk about epic theaters, which was a highly intellectual movement that sought to push boundaries. Does the name Bertolt Brecht sound familiar to you?
Sure, I remember him from the reading. Didn't he write some pretty successful plays?
Yes, that's right. He did mainly write plays. His most well-known work is called The Threepenny Opera. Well, Brecht was the leader of this epic theater movement, and the best way for me to explain this to you would be to discuss how epic theater differed from conventional theater, because epic theater was something else entirely.
I think I remember that mentioned in the reading, but I can't remember the difference between them. Wasn't Brecht trying to change traditions in theater?
Sort of, yes. He did something that was considered taboo in any form of traditional stage or television acting. It's called breaking the fourth wall, and a few of you are drama majors, aren't you? Why doesn't someone else chime in?
I can do it. Breaking the fourth wall means interacting directly with the audience. Even acknowledging them at all. It's something that's traditionally never done in dramatic theater.
Great explanation. Anyway, epic theater productions typically did away with the fourth wall. This meant that actors would do things like walk into the audience or break character and directly ask the audience questions. Unconventional stuff. Speaking of completely challenging theater conventions, a heavy emphasis was traditionally put on set design and making elaborate, painstakingly realistic sets. Epic theater was meant to be unrealistic. However, so all of the pieces were chosen with universality in mind and not to mimic the appearance of real environments. They'd be moved around to create a variety of scenes, so lots of wooden boxes, simple furniture, crates, and other movable and reusable items were preferred. Furthermore, between scenes, actors would rearrange the parts of the very sparse sets in full view.
I don't know how to ask this, but a lot of this stuff seems pretty bizarre. Like, why were they doing this?
Fair question. Well, the writers who made up the epic theater movement, they didn't want the audience to escape into a fictional world. All of the action in their plays, the manner in which a character speaks, the content of the dialogue, the stage setting, none of it could make viewers identify with the characters in any way that would lead them to becoming immersed in a fictional reality.
But isn't the main purpose of the theater to get an audience wrapped up in the story? Why would they deliberately avoid doing that?
Well, these epic theater playwrights wanted the audience to keep a completely objective point of view throughout a performance. They didn't want a lot of emotion and fought against the audience connecting with any of the characters on more than a superficial level. Detachment from the action was key. They wanted the audience to be aware of itself throughout. And there's no better way to make the audience aware of itself than to flood the theater with bright lights. I'm not just talking stage lights either. I mean lights that kept the audience illuminated at all times. You can see how this would change the audience experience. Another way they achieved a distance between the audience and the action was to have the actors play multiple roles, often wearing the same attire and having the same voices. The play itself would often be very fragmented, and the dialogue between the actors wouldn't be smooth. There'd be contradictions, frequent interruptions. It was a lot of work to take in a piece of epic theater.
So, I don't really understand what motivated Brecht. Why was he trying to change theater so drastically?
It was all about politics. He was a Marxist, and one of the central tenets of that philosophy is that the art should be revolutionary in the sense that they make people want to engage politically to enact change. Brecht wanted the audience to leave the theater wanting to make a positive impact on the society around them. In his mind, Brecht was fighting back against an art form that existed merely to promote escapism through simple entertainment. He hated shallow spectacle, manipulative plots, shallow emotion, the same things that are still at the heart of modern entertainment. Instead, his plays were centered on genuine interaction and realism. He always wanted the audience to know that it was part of a performance. Not an easy task, right? But Brecht was quite talented, and at the end of the day, the main goal of epic theater was not to entertain. It was didactic. Since I'm getting a lot of blank looks, I mean it was meant to teach. It usually did so through critiques of economics, politics, or what were considered unjust aspects of society. It did entertain, but not in the same way as other types of plays.
Now get ready to answer the questions. You may use your notes to help you answer. 12. What is the main purpose of the lecture? "13. What is meant by the expression breaking the fourth wall? Listen again to part of the lecture, then answer the question.
The play itself would often be very fragmented, and the dialogue between the actors wouldn't be smooth. There'd be contradictions, frequent interruptions. It was a lot of work to take in a piece of epic theater.
14. What does the professor mean when she says this?
It was a lot of work to take in a piece of epic theater. 15. According to the lecture, what was the goal of Brecht's plays? "16. According to the professor, what did Brecht think he was standing up against? "17. In the lecture, the professor describes certain unique methods that were used in epic theater. Indicate whether each of the following was used in epic theater performances.
Test 3, Part 1, Passage 3. Listen to part of a lecture on environmental science.
I want to pick up from where we left off yesterday. We were talking about human economic activity and how it impacts the environment. For example, both forestry and agriculture are important to the economy. With forestry, we're talking tens of billions of dollars every year in revenues. Agriculture is similar. Again, think of the billions of dollars earned every year. Mind-boggling, right? Of course, Both of these industries contribute to deforestation. Once the land has been cleared, the leftover debris must be removed. You know, tree stumps, roots, and branches. We call that stuff slash, and today I want to discuss different methods for removing it. Any ideas about what these are?
Can't the debris be burned? You know, just pile it up and burn it. Fast and easy.
That's true. It is fast and easy. We call that open burning. And you're right, many companies use this method. The debris is sorted into manageable piles and burned up, and this is referred to as piling and burning. No surprise there, right? Afterward, foresters complete mop-up of the area that has been burned. Mop-up is basically just a final check to make sure all of the coals are extinguished. If there is any unburned slash leftover, it is repiled along with any large wood chunks. This process is actually known as chunking in. Anyway, the new pile will be set on fire and the process repeated until all the debris is gone.
Is it true that burning saves money too?
Well, it is cheap. And relatively speaking, it doesn't require a lot of labor because the fire is doing most of the work, right? It also drastically reduces the cost of replanting. For example, slash burning saves about $30 per acre. Rather than having to pay for expensive machines to haul away the debris, companies can just burn it so that the area is clear for the workers to come in and replant trees. It's also the oldest method for clearing forest residue. Long before alternative methods became available, slash burning was actually required by law, and so it became standard practice. I guess people must have thought, if it's not broken, why fix it?
So it's simple, fast, cheap, and easy. It sounds like the perfect method.
Not exactly. What people don't consider is how harmful burning slash can be to the environment. For example, roots and tree stumps are often covered in mud, which produces thick, noxious smoke when it's burned. And it's not uncommon for toxic materials to be burned up with the debris, like tires, for example, because they increase the intensity of the fire. Well, those tires release a lot of toxic chemicals into the atmosphere. Plus, you have to consider the carbon dioxide that is released from burning the wood debris. All of this contributes to air pollution and increases the risk of cancer for people near burn areas. Other drawbacks include damage to the nutrients and organisms in the soil. For example, the extreme heat from fire destroys organisms that decompose organic matter in soil. This ruins the soil structure, which can lead to soil erosion. In other words, burning forest slash is convenient, but it's hard to argue that it's worth the damage it causes. In fact, many governments have banned open burning because of its health risks. See? It's not that simple. Anybody have another idea for getting rid of slash?
Yeah, what about removing it using machines instead of fire? You know, with tractors or something similar.
Yes, that's called mechanical clearing, and that is exactly what I was going to talk about next. So, mechanical clearing requires the use of heavy, expensive machinery to uproot and pile up debris. There are several environmental benefits to mechanical clearing, including zero risk to wildfire. It's much better for our health and the health of our planet, so it's the best option. I mean, mechanical clearing doesn't involve burning, so the air quality isn't affected. Plus, it results in the compaction of the soil. When a heavy machine passes over the soil repeatedly, the soil is compressed. This prevents erosion and allows seedling roots to take hold. However, mechanical clearing in excessively moist areas may lead to too much compaction, which isn't good for the soil. Overall, though, I'd say mechanical clearing is a win-win.
So if burning is prohibited, this is the only other option, right?
Burning isn't banned everywhere, and there are some companies that still don't use mechanical clearing primarily because of cost. The almighty dollar, right? One other alternative is chipping. Leftover debris can be ground into wood chips and spread around the cleared area. This actually improves the health of the soil. Why? Because the wood chips cover the soil, forming a protective barrier. They decay slowly, which means that the soil can retain nutrients and moisture for longer. The result of that is healthier soil. Chipping also saves, or cuts down on the cost of using herbicides. Of course, the drawback is that it's labor-intensive. much more so than burning. You have to gather the debris, feed it into wood chippers, then spread it over the land. Not exactly a time saver, right? These days, though, at least it seems so to me, the environment is more important than saving a few dollars here and there. We can't really depend on harmful methods such as burning for much longer. Any questions?
Now get ready to answer the questions. You may use your notes to help you answer. 12. What is the main topic of the lecture? Listen again to part of the lecture, then answer the question. Can't the debris be burned? You know, just pile it up and burn it. Fast and easy.
That's true. It is fast and easy. We call that open burning. And you're right. Many companies use this method. The debris is sorted into manageable piles and burned up. And this is referred to as piling and burning. No surprise there, right?
13. What does the professor mean when she says this?
No surprise there, right?
– 14. Why does the professor mention the use of tires in burning? – 15. According to the professor, why do some companies prefer not to use mechanical clearing? Listen again to part of the lecture, then answer the question.
Mechanical clearing doesn't involve burning, so the air quality isn't affected. Plus, it results in the compaction of the soil. When a heavy machine passes over the soil repeatedly, the soil is compressed. This prevents erosion and allows seedling roots to take hold. However, mechanical clearing in excessively moist areas may lead to too much compaction, which isn't good for the soil. Overall, though, I'd say mechanical clearing is a win-win.
16. What does the professor mean when she says this?
Overall, though, I'd say mechanical clearing is a win-win.
– 17. In the lecture, the professor describes the features of different methods of clearing slash. Indicate whether each phrase below is a feature of burning, mechanical clearing, or chipping.